Hallo Deutschlerner, welcome to my 5th video in the series, The Iceberg of German Fluency. If you've made it this far, you've journeyed deep below the surface, past the basic survival skills of the A1 and A2 levels, through the solid intermediate foundation of the B1 level, and even into the advanced territory of B2. Now we're entering C1, and this is where the language truly becomes yours. C1 is all about style, nuance, flexibility, and precision. You don't just speak German, you craft it. Like other videos in this series, we'll break the C1 level down into 4 parts. A general overview of what the C1 level is and what you can expect to achieve. The official CEFR description with context and examples. The grammar topics that you need to master at this level, and conversational and communicative topics that you'll use to put it all into practice. Let's dive into the depths of advanced German and see what the C1 level has to offer. First, a general overview. C1 is often described as the level of professional and academic fluency. You can follow fast, complex speech. You can speak without searching for words. You can understand abstract text and produce elegant, well-structured writing. Whether it's a casual conversation or a formal debate, you can adapt your language to the situation. Your vocabulary grows to around 8,000 words, and most learners can hit this level after about 700 to 800 hours of study. While you're allowed to study at a German university at the B2 level, the C1 level will allow you to thrive at German universities, giving public presentations or working in high communication jobs like journalism, law, or education. You've got the skills, now it's about using them with confidence and control. Let's break down the official CEFR description of C1 section by section. Listening. I can understand extended speech even when it's not clearly structured and when relationships are only implied and not signaled explicitly. I can understand television programs and films without too much effort. You can follow fast conversations, live debates, and even understand speakers who use idioms, jokes, or regional accents as long as you are somewhat familiar with the topic. This is also the level at which you can keep up in a loud and crowded Biergarten when 3 other conversations are going on at the same time. Reading. I can understand long and complex factual and literary texts, appreciating distinctions of style. I can understand specialized articles and longer technical instructions even when they do not relate to my field. This means that you can read novels, editorials, academic studies, and legal documents, and actually get the tone, intonation, and underlying meaning. You'll notice it specifically says, even when it does not relate to my field. This means you are expanding your vocabulary and your knowledge beyond what you are usually focused on. Spoken interaction. I can express myself fluently and spontaneously without much obvious searching for expressions. I can use language flexibly and effectively for social and professional purposes. You can jump into a meeting or a roundtable discussion or a spirited dinner conversation and hold your own with style. Spoken production. I can present clear, detailed descriptions of complex subjects, integrating sub-themes, developing particular points, and rounding off with an appropriate conclusion. You can give presentations, moderate discussions, or summarize a nuanced topic like the climate policy or the ethics of AI. Writing. I can express myself in clear, well-structured text, expressing points of view at some length. I can write about complex subjects in a letter, an essay, or a report, underlining what I consider to be the salient issues. You can craft articles, arguments, blog posts, and formal reports. This is another reason that I said that this is the level you really need in order to thrive at a German university. Necessary grammar. At the C1 level, grammar becomes a tool for tone, clarity, and style. You'll revisit many of the same concepts from earlier levels, but now it's all about using them with greater subtlety and in more sophisticated contexts. Verbs. Konjunktiv 2 for nuanced hypotheticals and wishes. Hätte ich mehr Zeit gehabt, wäre ich länger geblieben. If I had more time, I would have stayed longer. Now it's not just used for the structure, but to express a tone, regret, hope, sarcasm, etc. Konjunktiv 1 for formal indirect speech. Die Regierung erklärte, sie habe bereits Maßnahmen ergriffen. The government said it had already taken action. This is used especially in journalism and academic writing. Verbal nouns and nominalizations. Das Reisen erweitert den Horizont. Traveling broadens your horizons. Turning verbs into abstract nouns for more formal writing. Complex separable and inseparable verbs. Übersetzen versus übersetzen. To cross over versus to translate. And durchfahren versus durchfahren. To drive around and to drive through. Advanced modal verb combinations. Hätte sie gehen lassen können. He could have let her go. Double infinitives in passive and conditional contexts. Sentence structure. Deeply nested relative and subordinate clauses. Die Frau, die sagte, dass sie den Mann kenne, der dort wohnt, ist meine Nachbarin. The woman who said she knows the man who lives there is my neighbor. Inversion for emphasis or stylistic variation. Nie zuvor habe ich so etwas erlebt. I have never experienced something like this before. Expanded clause types. Causal. Da keine Zeit hatte, sagte ab. Since he didn't have time, he cancelled. Concessive. Selbst wenn es nicht gewusst hätte, hätte nichts geändert. Even if he had known, he wouldn't have changed anything. Conditional. Wenn du das früher gesagt hättest, hätten wir eine Lösung gefunden. If you had said that earlier, we would have found a solution. Passive voice. Specifically passive voice with modal verbs in various tenses. Das hätte gemacht werden können. That could have been done. Impersonal passive constructions. Es wird erwartet, dass alle pünktlich erscheinen. Everyone is expected to arrive on time. Literally, it is expected that everyone arrives on time. Stylistically elevated style. Es wird angenommen, dass. It is believed that. Nouns and articles. Nominalization in formal writing. Die Einführung neuer Maßnahmen wurde diskutiert. The introduction of new measures was discussed. Advanced weak noun usage. Die Ideen des Gedankens, the ideas of the mind. Die Wünsche des Herzens, the desires of the heart. Pronouns. Advanced relative pronouns with prepositions. Das ist das Thema, über das wir gesprochen haben. That is the topic about which we spoke. Expanded indefinite and demonstrative pronouns. Manche sagen dies, andere sagen das. Some say this, others say that. Adjectives. Participle adjectives. Ein faszinierendes Buch. Eine beschädigte Ware. A fascinating book. A damaged product. Advanced comparative structures. Je anspruchsvoller die Aufgabe, desto größer die Herausforderung. The more demanding the task, the greater the challenge. Prepositional adjective phrases. Geeignet für, suitable for. Angewiesen auf, dependent on. Bekannt für, known for. Prepositions. Genitive prepositions in formal and academic writing. Aufgrund, ansichts, and infolge, for instance. Due to, in view of, and as a result of. Prepositional adverbs in nuanced contexts. Daraufhin, thereupon, darüber hinaus, furthermore, and darunter, including. Idiomatic expressions such as im Rahmen von, in the frame of, im Gegensatz zu, as opposed to, zur Verfügung stehen, to be available. Conjunctions, advanced connectors for structured argumentation. So dass, so that. Sofern, provided. Wobei, whereby. Dennoch, nevertheless. Correlative constructions. Nicht nur, sondern auch. Je mehr, desto. Not only, but also. The more, the. Concessive inversion. Auch wenn es schwierig ist, muss es getan werden. Even if it is difficult, it must be done. Tenses. Plusquamperfekt for complex narrative timelines. Nachdem ich angekommen war, begann das Seminar. After I arrived, the seminar began. Futur 2 for assumptions and speculation. Wird wohl schon gegangen sein. He will have probably already left. Reported speech. Layered indirect speech. Sagte, dass sie erklärt habe, dass es schon gemacht habe. He said that she explained that he had already done it. Modal particles. Used for emotional nuance, stance, or irony. Das ist ja unglaublich. That is incredible. Wird wohl bald ankommen. He'll probably arrive soon. Stylistic tools. Complex negation. Es ist nicht so, als wäre unfähig. Keineswegs war das die Absicht. It's not as if he is incompetent. That was by no means the intention. Formal versus informal register. Ich möchte höflich anfragen versus kannst du mal schnell? I would like to politely request versus can you quickly? Rhetorical questions, parallelism, and emphasis. Wie hätte das anders laufen können? How could things have turned out differently? And now for the conversational and communicative topics. C1 communication means fluid expression through a wide range of contexts, from workplace discussions to philosophical debates. You don't just express your thoughts, you shape the conversation. Here's what you should be able to do at this level. Academic and professional communication. You should be able to present structured arguments in writing and in speech. Defend complex viewpoints with logic and nuance. Participate in academic seminars and discussions. Summarize and critique articles or presentations. Write formal emails, proposals, and reports. Debating and persuasion. Debate controversial issues. Sollte das Tempolimit eingeführt werden? Should the speed limit be introduced? Use persuasive language with hedging or intensification. Man kann nicht leugnen, dass. There's no denying that. Zweifellos spielte das eine entscheidende Rolle. Undoubtedly, it plays a crucial role. Social, cultural, and political topics. Analyze social trends. Die Auswirkung der Digitalisierung auf den Arbeitsmarkt. The impact of digitalization on the labor market. Compare political systems or educational models. Talk about international issues with a clear point of view. Abstract and theoretical topics. Discuss ethics, philosophy, and values. Ist es moralisch vertretbar, persönliche Daten zu sammeln? Is it morally acceptable to collect personal data? Express uncertainty, doubt, or conditional ideas. Wenn das stimmen sollte, müsste man Konsequenzen ziehen. If that were true, one would have to receive consequences. Self-reflection and metacognition. Reflect on personal growth or learning styles. Mir ist aufgefallen, dass ich durch Podcasts schneller lerne. I've noticed that I learn faster through podcasts. Express emotional nuance with subtle vocabulary. Justify decisions and reflect on outcomes. Workplace and collaboration. Take part in business meetings or lead discussions. Negotiate terms or mediate disagreements. Give and receive constructive feedback. Storytelling and descriptions. Tell rich, detailed stories with multiple time frames. Describe tone, mood, intention, and implied meaning. Interpret films, literature, or art with vocabulary beyond just gut und schlecht. C1 is where German becomes an art form. It's no longer just about what you say, but how well you say it. Now you can participate fully in society, work, and education using only German. You can understand complexity and express it clearly. From here, there's only one level left, the C2 level, the bottom of the iceberg. That's where mastery turns into near-native precision. Check out the links in the video description for C1-focused resources, grammar lessons, and exercises. And if you're ready to keep diving deeper, stay tuned for the final video in the series. Viel Erfolg und bis bald. Tschüss!